we're doing one more of these questions because here I have something that's a little bit different. You can see I have binomials. The last one that we did had monomials. There is a little bit of a difference. The steps are still the same. So what's going on is, here's your original fraction. And I'm telling you your LCD, you found your LCD from using the other steps before, was 5a squared minus 45. And what you want to do is take this 7a and find something that would be equivalent so that these two fractions would be the same if you were able to reduce this. So to find equivalence, or some people call it raising a fraction, what you have to do is look at the denominators and look at the factored form. Because I know a lot of you are looking here, oh, I'm just missing an a and a 3, and it's going to be a and a 3, like 3a. You don't want to really look at like that. What you need to do is actually factor these out, okay? So when you factor this out, notice you're not doing a tree diagram. Why? Because it's a binomial. When it's a binomial, we're not allowed to do 5a, 3, 5. Don't do that. What you want to do is look to see if there is a GCF. So if it's more than one term, you have to look for a GCF first. So notice we do have a GCF. We don't have a letter in common, but we do have a number in common. 15, you probably already know, is 3 times 5. So we can take out the GCF of the number 5. This has a 5 in it. This has a secret 5 in it. So when you get your leftovers, 5 divided by 5 is 1a, or just a, and negative 15 divided by positive 5 is negative 3. Okay. Now let's factor out the other guy, the LCD. We prefer your LCD to be always written in factored form, not all multiplied. Remember, if I had two binomials, I said leave them as binomials. Don't bother multiplying them out. Because we like to work in the factored form. So here, we ask ourselves, binomial. When it's a binomial, you cannot do tree diagrams. I do not want to see 5a, a, 3, 3, 5. I want you to say binomial, I have to do GCF. And you can see that they both have a hidden 5, because remember 45 is 5 times 9. So if we take out the GCF, we have a 5 on the outside, and our leftovers, 5 divided by 5 leaves us with a squared. Negative 45 divided by 5 is negative 9. Now just because you found a GCF doesn't mean you're done factoring. I didn't factor this any further because it's 2 terms, and the only thing I can do with 2 terms is difference of squares. And notice that didn't have an exponent that's even, so I couldn't break that down any further. But this one, notice it's 2 terms, so we always have to check for difference of squares. Perfect square, and a minus sign. That means you can break this down as difference of squares. Minus sign means 1 plus, 1 minus, and then the square root of a and a, break it up evenly, and 9, 3, and 3. So again, don't look at these forms. Once you factor out the denominator completely, look at the factored form. Okay, so that's step 1. Make sure the LCD and denominator in factored form. So don't look at the 5a minus 15, look at 5 factor a minus 3. And the other guy, 5 factor a plus 3, factor a minus 3. Now what we want to do is draw a box. 1 in the numerator, 1 in the denominator. You're comparing your trip. Remember, you're the bus driver. You always start here first, and then see what your extra piece is. If you have the correct LCD, you'll always have extra pieces here, not over here. So let's see, we started our trip in Philadelphia with 5, and then the a minus 3 family. When we got to Boston, I have a 5, and then the same a minus 3 family, but notice this is your extra piece, your extra factor. This didn't have an a plus 3, but somehow when you got to Boston, you picked them up. So that hitchhiker has to go here. Because this times this will give you this. So if I multiply this with this to get me this, I have to do the same thing to the top. And this is why whatever is in this bottom box will magically be the same on the top box. But notice that this is a binomial, not a monomial. So how do you multiply to get your new numerator? You're going to have to distribute. So 7a times a, and then do 7a times 3. So 7a times a is going to be 7a squared. Remember, a times a is a squared. And then 7a times 3 is going to be 21a. So this is equivalent to this. Your final answer after raising would be 7a squared plus 21a over that LCD, the 5a squared minus 45. And if they asked you to add or subtract, we would use this fraction, not the original that they gave us. This would be your equivalent fraction.